So, welcome everybody to our webinar. Financing opportunities for green hydrogen projects in the frame of the H2UP program from GIZ. My name is Christoph Meyer. I'm Senior Project Manager for Energy, Mining and Sustainability in the German Chilean Chamber of Commerce and Industry, AHK Chile. We're working together with GIZ Chile in the H2UP program in Chile. Today we want to have an overview over the funding programs for H2 projects that are available for Chilean projects. We have 5 speakers today. Isabella Böse from GIZ will tell us about the H2UP fundings that there are for projects. Carlos Berna afterwards from CORFO will present in general Chilean subsidies, including the Team Europe Global Gateway subsidies. Afterwards, we will have a presentation from Allegra Tukavi from the German Development Bank KfW, who will also talk about the Team Europe and Global Gateway fundings from the KfW perspective. Next presentation will be Juan Gurinho from the European Investment Bank. And the last presentation will be Elizabeth Sterner from the H2 Global Foundation, who will present us the H2 Global fundings that are available for projects in Chile as well. For everyone, this is a normal Zoom meeting, so you are all able to use your microphone and camera. So please, at the moment, for the duration of the presentations, please switch off your microphone. And after the presentations, we will have a combined questions and answer round where you can switch on your microphones to do the questions. Please use the hand-raising functions that there are in Zoom. You have the reaction button, reacciones, probably in Spanish, where you can raise your hand, and then we will tell you to switch on your microphone to ask your question to the speaker. What is H2UP, in which framework this webinar is taking place? H2UP is a funding program of the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Protection from Germany that accompanies and supports the market ramp-up of green hydrogen and power-to-X applications in selected developing and emerging countries, including Chile. And the aim of H2UP is both to identify, to prepare, to accompany the implementations of projects for the production and use of green hydrogen and power-to-X applications, and to raise awareness and transfer knowledge for project development around the topic of green hydrogen. So this is what we are doing today, do knowledge transfer, and I hope we have some good presentations and a good discussion. So I would ask Isabella to do the first presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Christoph. I'm going to share my screen. I think here you can see all my presentation. Well, as mentioned, Christoph, I'm going to present you the International Hydrogen Ramp-Up Program for Green Hydrogen, the also called H2UP program. I'm Isabella Böse, Technical Advisor in GIZ, the German Development Cooperation Agency here in Chile. So to begin with, as mentioned, Christoph, I'm going to present you the overall goal of the H2UP program, which supports the promotion of green hydrogen and power-to-X market in certain countries, such as Mexico, Colombia, Chile. I'm going to detail this in a couple of slides more. But this is the interesting part, is that this is an initiative which is in cooperation with the private sector, specifically focused on projects that are in early stage of development. That is, for example, the stage of scoping or also the piloting stage. And well, it has 3 lines of action. One is focused on networking and project scouting. The second one is the public-private cooperation projects. That's what I'm going to detail also you during my presentation. And the last one is to develop some know-how and capacity development, which is also promoted through public-private cooperation projects or additional studies and activities. So as you may know, hydrogen projects will have different financial needs. There is a general observation that the development stages and DevEx are high cost, but also the CapEx and OpEx. But the H2UP program is focused on early stage of development. So as I mentioned, there are several countries involved through this program within Latin America.
Very shortly. Sorry, we cannot see your presentation. Not yet.
It hasn't changed the slide?
No, we cannot see anything. Can you try again to share again?
Okay, wait. I'm going to... here, okay. I'm not sure what happened. Thank you very much. So I think...
There it is.
There it is again, okay. So within the Latin American and Caribbean countries, there's Mexico. The project can also be implemented in Colombia, Brazil. Here in the Chilean energy cluster, we are involved with the projects that are implemented in Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile. And as Christoph mentioned, this is a German government initiative, but it's implemented through and by GIZ. Well, what are public-private projects within the H2UP framework? These are cooperation projects between GIZ, which is the public partner, and the German or European company as a private partner. And it's focused on green hydrogen projects in pre-feasibility and feasibility stages, which are mainly the stages where we are currently right now. Actually, in Chile, we have, for example, 59 projects, and we are mainly in early stage of development. And the goal is to promote green hydrogen value chain to achieve a positive and substantial impact also in the partner country, society, environment, but also to provide sufficient and valuable information to promote replicability of projects, but also the scale up of projects. So here you can see that we are also right now promoting to provide you with sufficient information of the PPPs that are currently being implemented. So the idea is to share the know-how and the experience that we have gained. But eventually, it's clear that there are some information that are highly sensitive. So this will be also considered when we are going to define together with the private partner the information that we are going to provide. We have 2 types of contracts. One is the service agreement, which is a PPP project. This is implemented mainly by the private partner. Here, the public contribution will be of minimum 50,000 euros and maximum 200,000 euros, which would represent a maximum contribution of 50% of the total value of the PPP project. So this public funds are going to be, there's an existence of cash flow from GIZ to the private partner of these public funds, so that the private partner can also make use of these funds. But the private partner should also contribute with minimum 50% of the total value of the PPP project. And that's how it is going to be implemented through the private partner. On the other hand, we have the cooperation agreement, which is a joint implementation by both GIZ and also the private partners. In this case, the public contribution can be higher. It's of minimum 50,000 euros and maximum 2 million euros to implement the working packages. And in this case, the GIZ will be responsible for some of the working packages that will be that have been announced through the proposal. And in this case, again, the maximum contribution of public funds will be of maximum 50%, and the private partner should contribute with minimum 50% of the total value of the PPP project. But note that in this case, GIZ is going to be a responsible partner to make use of these public funds and implement some working packages to conclude finally in a joint way the PPP implementation. So there are some eligibility criteria and funding considerations. We have one lead applicant, which is specifically important when we are considering, for example, the proposal of several companies together. The lead applicant must be based in Germany or the European Union. companies must exist for at least 3 years with an average annual turnover of the previous 3 years of at least 800,000 euros. And well, there's also a minimum of employees that should be participating. And in general, there should be a sufficient also economic credit worthiness and liquidity to provide the necessary own contribution, the private funds, and also have sufficient staff to also ensure the quality and success of the implementation of the PPP project. So as for the PPP project itself, it can consider a duration of 2 years, but not further than the end of 2025, which would be subject to the duration of the H2UP program. We also already have discussed the volume of public and private contribution depending on the contract, which would were the service and cooperation agreement. And there's also considerations about sustainability criteria and international cooperation. So we are going to also, during the application form, review if you comply with the delegated acts of RED 2 of the European Union, and also in general with the international collaboration, as we mentioned that here the focus is also to provide information from and transfer the know-how from European or German companies to also ideally private to companies that are more involved with the local environment of the private of the country, partner country. There's also some eligible costs which will explain how you can value your PPP project. These are especially more important when we are in a more advanced phase after the selection of the PPP project. So these are in general staff costs, working hours, traveling costs, or consultancy fees, trainings, materials, among others. But there are also non-eligible costs. That means the public funds cannot, the public and private funds, which value the PPP project, cannot be used for these type of costs. For example, retroactive costs when you have already conducted some studies, land acquisition, among others. But we have also a detailed list that we can provide you when you're interested in this program. So just briefly to make sure here, I want to highlight that there's the submission of your PPP project, but it's important that you can also do some iterations of your concept with the GIZ team in the partner country, so that you can also get some feedback from our team before submitting your PPP project idea. Then there are some rounds of review with the H2UP team in Germany, some clarification if it's needed. But finally, we have to note that also it is the Ministry of Germany, the BMWK, which will be selecting the PPP project idea. So during your application form, you should consider to highly detail the context of your partner country, also the experience and the development stage of your project, for example, and what is also the PPP project idea. So once your PPP project has been approved, there will be the preparation of the full application in the second stage. This means the contracting phase. You will be invited to detail the costs and also the planning, and also detail the working packages. But if you're not being selected, there will be some feedback so that you can prepare also your concept idea for another call. So we're currently in our last call, the February 1st, 2025 so far. So it's in a couple of days more. And in general, we invite the applicants to discuss their ideas with the H2UP teams in the partner countries before officially submitting the idea in the call. Just to mention you also some success story, we have already implemented some PPP projects among the globe. They are of different nature. There's Solventix, for example, for pre-feasibility studies in infrastructure for green ammonia production. We have also Ineratec in Chile for power to liquid plant technical studies. We have, for example, in Brazil, another topic, which is certification, or also the synchro production with agricultural waste. Mexico, pre-feasibility analysis for green ammonia, and INAPTA in Thailand, which is focused more on training programs. So different nature, but all related to the green hydrogen value chain. And well, as we discussed, we have this H2UP program. And specifically, I wanted to conclude with also another complementary program here in GIZ, in the energy cluster in Chile, which is the RH2 program. Here at the right, which has a working area focused on market, project development, finance. Okay, so currently this area is also working on the financial service assistance, which was really interesting. Which is really interesting because it's going to build the bridge between project developers, which would be the client of the service, and investors, which will provide, which are the funders. And it specifically will be, the hydrogen projects are different among them due to their design, and they will have different financial needs also. And that's why also this financial service assistance will have a tailor-made approach to ensure project bankability and financial sustainability. So this would involve supporting the project structure, targeting the investment strategy, but also supporting the access of project finance, and finally this transactional project stage. So this financial service assistance will complement the H2R program, specifically also for projects that are more advanced. And this will also be highly relevant when we are having also some smart financing instruments within the market, such as contract for difference or alternative assets. So as you can see, the energy cluster in Chile is going to provide with funding programs, but also with assistance and technical advice assessment, but also financial assessment. And this is what we are currently noting, that it's required for, specifically for the Chilean environment here to develop the green hydrogen projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Isabella. Very interesting. And there is already a question, but we will save it for later, I would say. We'll first continue with the next presentation. So be patient. You can all ask your questions after the 5 presentations in the question and answer round. So next speaker would be Carlos Berner. Carlos is a Director of Financial Risk and Guarantees of Educational Infrastructure at CORFO. Carlos, please, can you share your screen?
Okay, thank you, Christoph. Hi, everybody. Please let me know if you can see what I'm sharing. If we are okay, we can start. I do have 10 minutes, so I will be providing you an overview of what are we doing at CORFO for supporting the green hydrogen projects to develop the industry here in Chile. Basically, I'm in charge of designing and building the financial facility. And as part of that facility, of course, we are including some sort of a one-stop shop. So we are trying to connect both sides of the world, I mean, subsidies and also financial instruments. So I will be providing an overview. In 10 minutes, we cannot go in so much depth. So please feel free to keep on talking to me through email or whatever that you want in order to have more details and to connect to the right people for specific products or instruments. And I don't know here. So first, CORFO is the Chilean Agency for Economic Development. We provide both subsidies and financial instruments in order to support many things. In particular, we are trying to support the development of the green hydrogen industry for the country. I'm managing and creating now, and we'll be managing the financial program, which objective is to catalyze the private investment that is required for developing the industry here in Chile. And basically, we're trying to lower the financial cost and, of course, mitigate financial risk through these instruments, which are backed by the state. Here I'm talking about basically about loans and, of course, guarantees. The financial program will be managing a little more than $1 billion at the beginning. That $1 million has been provided with loans from 5 development banks. the IDB, the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, KfW and CAF, and of course the European Union, which is providing some funds that would be used as well. And of course, CORFO is topping up with about 1/5 of the total billion. And that facility will be financing with three focus mainly. Of course, green hydrogen production, looking for both large-scale projects for exports and also medium-scale projects for local demand. Of course, we are going to be financing demand of green hydrogen, and of course, parts and pieces for green hydrogen, which is if a company wants to, I don't know, build solar panels, wind towers, or parts and pieces required for green hydrogen, we will be supporting them as well. And this is pretty much a map of what do we see. It's not extensive, but basically on the left hand, I draw some subsidies, and on the right hand, basically the financial instruments that we are deploying into the market. In the area of subsidies, in CORFO, we have basically two subsidies available today. The first one is the research and development. It's not a subsidy, it's a tax credit. As a rule of thumb, you will be credited about 50% of the total cost of the project, and it has permanent access. Any company, Chilean company, can apply to that tax credit. And if, for instance, if the project costs 100, you will be granted with a credit of 50. So basically, it's a very, very good, it's not a subsidy itself, but it's a very good instrument for early stages. A couple of weeks ago, we granted 2 R&D tax credits, one for $100 million, and the other one for about $55 million. So basically, that amount of money will be routed to those green hydrogen projects we would like to see happening soon. On the other hand, we have the tech programs. Tech programs are a direct subsidy to the project. Those programs can finance up to 60% of a project and up to 3,200 million Chilean pesos, which is around $3.5 million per project. The tech program works under calls. So you have to apply to those calls, and we have a couple winners, and 2 more calls are expected for this year. So basically, we recently granted 3 projects with that kind of money, $3.5 million per project, and 2 more calls are expected for this year. And each call would be granting, I don't know, that amount of money to between 2 or 3 projects each. So we can expect around 5 projects to be awarded with this technical program subsidy. And of course, the Team Europe initiative, which is providing this investment grant of 15 million euros, and that that grant would be attached to financial instruments. I will go pretty quick on the financial instruments later. And of course, we are articulating this one-stop shop. We are articulating of other subsidies, as for instance the H2 up and others that we can manage and you know, to be connected with. And then related to the financial program, basically we are providing, as I told you, debt and also partial credit guarantees. Debt, it's going to be pretty much related to investment loans and reserve accounts. reserve account, let's say the plain vanilla debt reserve account, which is to support when the flows are like a little weak for something, so you don't have money to pay the debt installment. You can use that reserve account, and another reserve account which is going to be particularly related to technological issues, such as not getting the production that has been forecast. Okay, and the partial credit guarantees. Of course, we are talking about temporary problems and permanent problems. And on temporary problems, it's pretty much the reserve account and the tech liquidity line. But if you don't want to have the loan, we can create this contingent loans, or as we use it, a guarantee, so you don't get debt burden while you don't use it. And of course, we are hoping to have some permanent problems in some projects, basically related to material adverse change and technical performance related to electrolyzers, and we will be granting guarantees there. We are talking about up to $50 or $100 million per project in both debt or guarantees, as a total exposure of between $50 to $100 million. And as you can see, pretty much the financial program will be working with projects that are already ready to build, or in the building stage or the operation stage, and the subsidies will be more focused on the early stages of each project in order to get financial closure and the projects being both ready to build and ready to be financed first. So that's pretty much a map, a conceptual map. We have subsidies on one hand. We are trying to connect all the subsidies in one stop shop, and also providing financial instruments for leveraging the development of the projects. So here that's it, and I'm hoping for your questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Carlos. There's already some questions in the chat, and we will pick them up after the last presentation, and then try to answer them. Thank you. So next presentation will be from Allegra Tucavri. She is project manager at the German development bank KfW. Allegra, stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Christoph. Just a short, okay, if you can see my screen.
Not yet.
There. There it is, yes.
Perfect, thank you very much. Yes, so my name is Allegra Tucavri. I'm portfolio manager at KfW Development Bank, and it's a pleasure to present today to you the financing opportunities of KfW Group for green hydrogen projects. Let me go to the next slide. I'll be brief on a short introduction on KfW. Just let me see. It is changing, yes. So KfW is the promotional bank of the Federal Republic of Germany. It has been established in 1948, and we have around 8,000 employees working in more than 80 representatives' offices worldwide, but our headquarters is in Frankfurt. And if we have a look here at our tasks, we are once focusing on domestic promotion and on the international promotion. So in the domestic promotion, we are focusing on SMEs, private clients, customized finance also for public clients. And with KfW Capital, we are also focusing on technology-oriented young companies by investing in venture capital funds and venture debt. But now having a look at the right side of this slide, the international promotion is divided into 3 divisions, starting with KfW IPEX Bank. They are focusing on international export and project finance, financing private companies directly. We'll have a look at the tasks later on as well. Then we're promoting development. This is done by KfW Development Bank, the division I'm working in. We are promoting different sectors in developing countries and emerging economies, and always with a public counterpart, a public partner. Then on the private sector side, also promoting development, is DEG. They are promoting private businesses directly, also in developing and emerging economies. And these 3 divisions together build up the PTX platform, where we will have a deeper look at in some seconds. So now having a look at KfW Development Bank and PTX financing. I'm showing you a map where we classified different stages of hydrogen projects which are under preparation or beginning from initial scoping and market sounding, which is here in the color of gray. Then light blue is already pre-feasibility studies in preparation. The green country signal, where we are in dialogue with partners about potential projects. And the dark blue colored countries show projects where there are projects in preparation. For example, you have South Africa. There's a promotion program being implemented with the National Development Bank, about 23 million euros to the promotion of green hydrogen projects. In Tunisia, for example, there's a green hydrogen alliance being implemented, where pilot projects shall be financed. And then here looking at Chile, obviously, which is the focus of this meeting today, we will have a look at the Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen Funding Platform. So let's have a look at those activities in Chile of the KfW Development Bank. So here I would like to show you the framework of the program we are operating here. So this is the Team Europe initiative on green hydrogen development in Chile. It is a joint effort of the European Union and its member states within Global Gateway. There are 4 core areas of the focus, which is beginning with the strengthening and the enabling environment for green hydrogen economy, supporting technological development and human capital, market development, obviously also business cooperation, and project development and finance. For all of those tasks, there's an initial combined budget of 225 million euros provided by the European Union, and also from the German side, the Federal Ministry for Economic Affairs and Climate Action. And the activities are divided in a financial component and a technical component. On the financial component side, we have the Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen Funding Platform, which is a joint effort by the European Investment Bank, KfW, and the European Union. And on the technical component side, this is the Team Europe initiative for the development of renewable hydrogen, which is implemented by GIZ and AHK, the Spanish cooperation agency. So the technical part is rather focusing on the first 3 elements I just presented, and the financial component is focusing on the financing of concrete projects. So this is where we're focusing now. The Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen Funding Platform. As I said, it's in the context of the Team Europe initiative. And the objective of this program by European Investment Bank and KfW is to support the Chilean government in promoting a sustainable market ramp-up of the green hydrogen economy in Chile. So this is the overall objective, and this will be done by providing promotional loans from the European Investment Bank and KfW, combined with the investment grant from the EU-funded Latin America Investment Facility, LC, in an amount of 15 million euros. The loans have an initial budget of 200 million euros, and those will be combined in the facility just presented by Carlos Werner of CORFO, the Programa Financiero CORFO Hidrógeno Verde, and then be provided for financing of renewable hydrogen projects in Chile. The detailed eligibility criteria will be defined in this sense together with CORFO, EIB, KfW, and the European Union, and then also be published in the next months. Further information on the initiative will also be published on the website by the EU delegation of the European Union, which is expected in March to become online. And this in a nutshell to show you the support EIB, KfW are joining together for the promotion of renewable hydrogen in Chile. So now I would like to also present to you the KfW PTX platform. The platform is basically joining the different funding windows of the KfW group under one roof. So you'll be able to access the PTX platform. Here's just a screenshot from our webpage, and then be able to access the different financing options KfW Group offers. I'll show you very briefly the 3 different divisions, what they can offer. So we have KfW DAG. As I mentioned, DAG is financing and advising private businesses to implement high impact projects in focusing also on climate protection. So they offer a range from long-term loans over mezzanine finance to equity capital to those private companies. They can also support those instruments with some technical assistance in the terms of supporting feasibility studies and other studies, for example, for environmental social management systems, etc. So there I would kindly direct you to our counterpart, Felix Körner, who's the contact for DG for Chile. Then KfW Development Bank, as I presented to you already, in Chile, we are there supporting the Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen funding platform. And it's also important to mention globally, the core instrument of the PTX platform is the PTX Development Fund. You can see a summary here. This is the fund which has an initial capitalization of 270 million euros in grant financing funded by the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. There's currently one call open, so will be interested parties can apply until the 1st of March. Eligible countries in this first call are Brazil, Egypt, Georgia, India, Kenya, Morocco, and South Africa. And the fund is implemented by a fund manager, KGIL. So further information will be available on the PTX platform, but you can also contact the fund manager via this info email. Then last but not least, KfW IPEX Bank. They are financing private companies directly, and they are focusing on international export and project finance, basically, but they do offer as well corporate financing, as I said, project and asset financing, and trade and commodity financing. Apart from that, they offer different services by arranging of syndicated loans, also being an agency desk in project finance and syndicated transactions, or they also offer guarantees and standby letters of credit. For KfW IPEX Bank, you can see also the counterparts, the contacts for Chile here, Jan Glaser and Celine Beauchard, which are happy to then receive your interests. this as a short summary, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Allegra. Very interesting. I'm sure there will be some questions. Oh yeah, there is already something in the chat as well. But we will put the questions after the last presentation. So we will have 2 more presentations. Next one will be from Juan Gorinho, works in project and structured finance at the European Investment Bank. Juan, please, the screen is yours.
Yes. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Juan Gorina Arañaga. Yes, and I'm the loan officer covering Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile for the public sector at EIB Global. So, and first of all, I would like to thank the organizer for the invitation to this seminar. And, you know, as we don't have too much time, I will try to be very brief so that we can focus on the questions. So I will open the presentation. Let me know when you can see it. One moment. Should be ready now.
Yes, there it is.
Okay, so first, as for those who are not familiar with the EIB, we are the EU bank. Our shareholders are the member states of the EU, and we are the largest multilateral. As an indication, we had in 2022 we had financing volume of more than 70 billion euros, from which almost 11 billions were outside the EU through the EIB Global, the branch for the operations outside the EU. Very briefly, because you can see all of this in the website, or maybe you know already, we work with all type of clients. We work with private and public sector, financial intermediaries, SMEs, funds, and we offer all type of financial products, debt, equity, guarantees, all type of products. And also we are the leaders in climate finance. So I can give you some information also about the EIB Global, or the non-EU branch for the EIB. And, you know, within the context of the EIB as a climate bank, we obviously support the clean hydrogen sector. We consider that clean hydrogen will be key to achieve the EU objective of carbon neutrality by 2050. And in this context, the EIB is a key funding partner of this sector. We have already provided in the past decade more than 1 billion in direct financial support in related hydrogen technologies. And also based on this experience, we have observed some challenges. No, we observed that there are difficult market conditions, regulatory risk, lengthy approval processes, environmental and social risk. I think we all know the risk and the challenges, and we understand that that for these initial stages, the success of the hydrogen economy relies on the public support. No? We, for example, in the form of subsidies or regulatory and clear framework. No? So I think what we have presented already, the Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen Funding Platform, is a good example of this support that is needed at this initial stage. And, you know, I think Allegra and Carlos perfectly explained the structure and the operation of the platform, where EIB participates with a loan of 100 million euros. And so I'm not going to repeat again the structure, but just to reiterate, I think one of the key elements of this platform is the flexibility. At the end, not only the European lenders, but also the other multilaterals contributing to the platform, we have provided flexibility, the flexibility needed to build the products that the market needs. So also I think it's important to reiterate and to get important that the objective of both of this platform is both, no? to promote the green hydrogen market in Chile, and, you know, for the Team Europe initiative is also to reinforce the potential of Chile as to export the product to Europe. No? So we have very great expectations on this platform, and we hope that we can replicate the model in the region and maybe outside the region. No? So here, let me show, because I'm not following too much the presentation. So this is a very brief summary of the platform. It was already explained, and maybe as as this seminar is about financing opportunities for green hydrogen projects, I think it's also important to mention the Green Hydrogen Fund, which is a fund. I don't know if you can see. One moment here. So it's a fund established in 2021 in cooperation with the government of Germany, and is implemented by the EIB in partnership with GIZ. In this case, in this trust fund, the first country contributing was Germany, and currently there are 459 million euros available in the form of technical assistance. There are 25 million for technical assistance, and the outstanding amount is for investment grants. The beneficiaries can be public and private entities. And basically, we expect that this support in the form of subsidy, linked to my comment before, to have a catalytic effect, and we expect that the funding provided by this Green Hydrogen Fund will generate a leverage between 3 to 100 times, depending on the project type. If it's a pilot project or if it's an industrial project. And it's the last contribution from Germany was end of 2023, so we are still structuring, but I think I recommend you follow up this fund through the EIB website, because I think will be a key element to help. To conclude and to finalize, because I think we should focus now. There is one presentation remaining, and we should focus now in the questions. I think this type of initiative, the Green Hydrogen Platform presented by CORFO and KfW, and this Green Hydrogen Fund, will help to reduce the perception of the risk by the traditional investors, and just to emphasize that the public support and the cooperation among all the multilaterals and DFIs will be crucial to attract investments and to mitigate the risk that we have already. So I think very briefly, I think we can continue with the presentations.
Thank you very much, Juan. Very interesting. So yes, let's start with the last presentation and afterwards come to the question round. Last presentation is from Elisabeth Sterner. She is project manager at the H2 Global Foundation. There is her presentation already. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Hi everyone, buenos dias. My name is Elisabeth Sterner. I work for the H2 Global Foundation, and I'm happy to have the opportunity today to present to you an overview of our funding mechanism, on the work we do, and on the funding mechanism itself, which is currently considered as one of the most advanced support schemes for global hydrogen trade. The idea of H2 Global is basically to solve the chicken and egg problem we have in the hydrogen market development. As you're probably aware, we have the situation where the production cost of green hydrogen is significantly higher than the production cost of fossil-based hydrogen. And at the same time, the price then can be realized in the market for green hydrogen is most probably equal to the price of gray hydrogen. So we have a significant price difference between the cost of production and the price that can be realized for it in the market. And we expect that the price that can be achieved in the market will increase in the coming years, because mechanisms such as CO2 pricing, quotas, other tax elements will be introduced by governments and will create more demand and a higher willingness to pay in the market. And at the same time, we assume that the production cost will fall in the medium and long term, that economies of scale will occur, and that at some point when the two curves meet, the actual market will form and the actual market ramp-up can take place. If we look at the supply side, we have the situation that many of those announced projects don't reach FID phase, and I think it's 4 or 5% only of those 200 and more projects globally have reached FID. And what is missing here is the investment security on the supply side. The uncertainty that exists here involves purchase contracts, price itself, and clear definition of product requirements. And this is exactly what we offer with our mechanism with AHK Global, acting as a bridge. We offer long-term fixed price offtake contracts with a government-backed offtaker at clear terms and conditions in the current market environment. From the perspective of the provider of the funds, so typically the government, it was the goal to set up a clearly defined funding system, defined in the form of, and it's always the provider of the funds, so the government, that determines how much funding is to be used over what period of time and for what kind of products or purpose. So governments typically have limited resources to support the hydrogen market development and ramp up. And we want to make sure that we make the most effective use of those limited resources. And the key element in how we achieve this is an intermediary located between the supply and demand side, and we've called this the hydrogen intermediary company, short HINCO. And what HINCO does is basically buys hydrogen and sells it again. So it's basically an actual trader. It is also the physical contract partner to both sides. And of course, HINCO will most probably buy much more expensive than it can sell. And that loss will be compensated by the government. So it is basically a cost of different approach that we're talking here. As already mentioned, we want to use the public funds as efficiently as possible. And that is why we have set up a market-based instrument, which means that we have a competitive element on the supply and demand side. Here we see HINCO, which is really in the middle between the supply and the demand side. What HINCO is offering in the supply side options are long-term offtake contracts, 10 years, fixed price, fixed terms, and the best supplier, meaning also the cheapest supplier, is going to get the deal. So HINCO is making sure that they buy the product as cheaply as possible. The winner of the tender does not sell to the end consumer directly. It sells to HINCO and can be sure that it will get a fixed price for 10 years, and that gives the investment security. On the demand side, we also have auctions. Of course, here, the highest bidder wins. This means that we minimize the difference that the government has to compensate. But in contrast to the 10 years purchase contracts on the supply side, here we sell with 1-year contracts. And we basically do that for 2 reasons. The solid blue line at the top represents the price that HINCO will pay over 10 years, and below that we see the possible price development, so the revenue that HINCO might be able to achieve when it takes the product back into the market. In between, we see the flexibility on the government side in terms of compensation payments. Because initially we believe there will be a significant difference, but as the market environment changes and, for example, CO2 pricing effects kick in and quotas are introduced, HINCO might probably is able to get higher revenue sales as the willingness to pay rises. And that, of course, reduces the public funds that are necessary to a minimum. So it is a very efficient instrument from the government's point of view. And the second aspect, which is very important, is that we achieve 2 things with these short-term options on the demand side. We provide liquidity to the market, and more importantly, we discover pricing signals on the demand side. And the goal, of course, should be to have a functioning market as soon as possible, where private capital is allocated, and price signals are one of the most important prerequisites for that. And that is basically the contribution we want to make with AHK Global as we publish, of course, all the results we get from our auction. With AHK Global, we also have a very flexible instrument, we like to say, flexible from a government perspective. The provider of the funds defines exactly how the funds will be used in terms of geography, in terms of products to be promoted, in terms of product and sustainability criteria per se. Each and every funding window can have different objectives: to buy the largest possible quantities, to promote specific technologies, to ensure energy security by diversifying suppliers, or various other aspects. And we can use the example of the first H2 Global funding window to illustrate how it works. Here, this is the left one here. Here, the BMWK, the German ministry, has made 900 million euros available for 3 products. It's green ammonia, green methanol, and sustainable aviation fuel, ESAF, and has defined that it's a global auction. That means that the production is outside of Europe and the products are meant for import into Europe. Our HINTCO team is basically currently right in the process of implementing this and are in the final part of the first tender process. So we expect the first awards in the next few weeks. And in addition to that, we have 3 other winners in preparation: a second funding window with a budget of 3.53 billion euros, again from the German ministry, BMWK. And here we are currently aligning with the ministry on what the customization will look like: what products, what geography, what requirements, and so on. The German and the Dutch government decided also to pool their funds for a joint import initiative using our instrument, which is already a first step towards the implementation of the European Hydrogen Bank, where H2 Global has been appointed to be one instrument for its international activities. And as a 4th window, which is a preparation with the Ministry of Transport here in Germany, will focus on e-fuel, most probably for the shipping and aviation industry. This basically shows our first 900 million funding window in more detail. We have the 3 products: ammonia, methanol, and ESAF, all produced based on renewable hydrogen. The funding which is available for this in total is 900 million euros, so it's 300 million per product over a period of 10 years. And regarding geography, as I already said, the criteria is production outside of the EU, with delivery to one of the ports in Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. And of course, since we are in the EU, we have to respect all criteria laid out in the red tube. This is basically an overview or map showing our worldwide activities or engagement we have with several governments. We do see a lot of interest in our instrument from governments around the world. Of course, we are most active in Europe, as we started developing and implementing our mechanism with funds by the German government. But in the past year, we've achieved some significant milestones, including our support for the European Hydrogen Bank and our involvement in the development of the US government's new hydrogen demand-side initiative. And it basically also showcases the flexibility of our instrument. Or another example to showcase that is that the German government explores the opportunity to also use our instrument for other bilateral initiatives aside with the Dutch that I was just mentioning, with exporting nations like Australia, Canada, and United Arab Emirates. So the geography criteria would be that the production should take place in one of those countries or regions, and products are then meant for import into Europe. And as you might have already spotted, we have Chile also on the map. Last year in April, your Minister Diego Pardo visited us in Hamburg with a delegation to basically inform himself about our mechanism and explore potential collaboration opportunities, or if this is something Chile might adapt as well as a mechanism to support the own market ramp up. And here, this is my last slide for my presentation. We see the setup and the structure of how H2 Global functions, basically our governance. We have a non-profit foundation supported by the industry. We currently have 65 donors representing the whole hydrogen value chain. And the foundation is the 100% owner of this intermediary HINTCO. And this is how we ensure that there's a firewall between the donors that are engaged in our foundation and the funding windows we are implementing for the governments. So there's no conflict of interest. Because also, again, here it is always the government, so the provider of the funds, that is deciding on the criteria of the respective funding windows. It's not H2 Global Foundation or HINTCO, it's really the government. We are an independent foundation, and we are not owned by any government or the industry. And we basically act as a platform where we also conduct some research projects related to hydrogen market development and our mechanism. And we, of course, engage with our donors using their expertise in different working groups to discuss relevant topics related to the hydrogen market development. That's it for my presentation. I hope that you now have a bit of a better overview of what H2 Global is and what we do. If you want to stay updated on our auction or anything that we do, please follow us on LinkedIn. Thanks for your attention, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, Elisabeth. Very interesting. And of course, there are already some questions. But I would start with the first questions that we had for the first presentation to Isabella, and then we quickly go step by step from one presentation to the other. We had a question from Anton Mears to Isabella. Anton, do you want to maybe ask the question yourself?
Sure, yeah. Thank you very much, Isabella, for the presentation. Just a quick question. I'm guessing there's a lot of developers connected on this call that might not reach that deadline of the 1st of February. So will there be any similar initiatives like the H2 Hub in the future?
Yes, so right now we do not have information if there will be another additional call, as it depends on available funding from the German government. So yes, we had several calls along the year, specifically free. So in this case, I think we would, first of all, the funding and the focus will be in advancing the selection process, and the second stage would be this contracting phase. And once this has been concluded, the discussion will again arise about available fundings and an eventual call. So, but this, just to mention, that has been the second initiative. So we already had the first implementation phase, and now we are submitting and selecting the PPP project. So this will be the second implementation of the H2Up program. So as you can see, we have already repeated this initiative. So, but so far we do not have information about an additional call, but we can surely notify you, and that's also one of the aim of AHK Chile, to notify the companies if there's an additional call.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Anton. Second question was from Santiago Enriquez. Santiago, do you also want to ask it yourself?
Yes. Hi, Isabella. It was a great presentation. I would like to know if you cover, if the H2Up program covers the expenditure of R&D, because we have a lot of companies here in Argentina who are willing to participate in next tenders, but they are not sure if they can cover the research and development expenditures for market-friendly projects. Thank you so much.
Okay, so actually, independent research development is not eligible as costs to value your PPP project, but it depends. It depends on the PPP project, because as we mentioned, this program and the funding is focused on hydrogen projects or along the value chain, storage application, their own application, or the use of these type of products or feedstocks. So in this case, it depends on how you prepare and develop your concept. It always has to consider the needs of the hydrogen industry, in this case in the industry. So if you require to conduct some experiments, for example, to identify, for example, ideal operational conditions, it could involve investment costs with equipment, but it always has to consider the benefits that can be delivered after the use of these equipments. For example, you can provide these equipments to universities, or have also capacity buildings. In this case, it's always important to make sure that the infrastructure that has been financed, for example, for these type of studies, can provide with profit, with benefits to the communities, or specifically for public sector also. So in this case, there's a possibility to describe your PPP project for research and development. But again, it's not for independent research. It's more focused on to enable know-how and experience to assist the development of your project, but also to assist the development of the ecosystem.
Thank you.
Perfect. Are there more questions to Isabella? You could raise your hands with the reaction buttons, and then we call you. Okay.
Sorry, because I need to leave the meeting in a couple of minutes. I have one question to Elizabeth. When exactly the auction is supposed to start? So the first auction will be launched.
Is launched. The first auction with the volume of 900 million euro already launched December 2022, and is currently in negotiation phase, basically. And I saw another question which I can answer now. No, we have no results yet to publish or to share, because it's still an ongoing negotiation phase. And due to confidentiality reasons, I don't even know, because this is all being kept between the HINTCO people that are conducting these auctions. But we will see future rounds. As I already indicated, we have another 3.53 billion from the German ministry, KfW. We have the joint initiative by the Dutch and the German governments, worth 600 million euros. So there are more to come, but it's still in preparation phase. The governments need to align on for what products they want to use those funds, or to source the funds, which criteria they want to apply, and so on. It's nothing to share in detail yet, but of course we will publish or distribute the news when there are new funding windows are up and running. Yes.
Okay, but this means when are the first molecules are supposed to arrive in Europe, actually?
With the 900 million euro window, the funding period is set for 2024 to 2033. So it's very early, as you might know. So 2024 we have now, but we have a bit of flexibility on the delivery date, which could take place at early beginning 2025. This is the current time status.
Okay, because as much as I know, there is no production of ESAF in any part of the world which can be delivered to Europe in the next months. So that's why I was wondering. Okay.
Yes, that is actually why we also consider our first auction kind of a market test, to see if the market ready. Are some producers or producer consortia ready to produce and to deliver? And of course, being a non-profit, and because that's also our contribution to the market ramp up or development per se, we will publish all the insights we get through this first auction. So if we should be not successful in awarding one of those lots to any producing company or consortia, we will of course also share that news and share feedback and on the whys and so on. So this will be made public, yes. But for now, we are still in negotiation phase for all 3 lots, so we will see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. And then we will go to the next presentation, which was from Carlos Berna. There's a question from Benedict Walker. Benedict, do you want to ask it yourself?
Yes, thank you. My question is about the R&D tax credits that CORFO offers, and I was wondering about the eligibility criteria that projects need to fulfill. Is there a list, or how does
No. Hi, Benedict. This tax credit is related to a law in Chile. That law establishes that any company can apply any sort of research and development. There's no requirement on sales, or there's no requirement on the size of the company. It's a pretty, flexible approach. But the approach is pretty much the following. You apply with your project, and a committee in CORFO evaluates it, and it determines if your project qualify as research and development, and also that and if it's okay, you move forward, and that committee establish an amount that will be under the research and development tax credit, so you will be able to implement your project. Perhaps if you want to, I can set you a meeting with the specialists here in CORFO, so they can explain you all the details and all the eligibility criteria that might be applying for to any postulation. But basically, there are no rules, but your project has to be related to research and development, not commercial, not sales, but creating a new product, process, or anything like that. And you will go under a process, and if your project complies with the requirements that are in the law, you will be granted with the research and development tax credit. Send me an email, and I'll set you a meeting with the specialist in order to understand better your question and to talk about your project and how to move forward with this tax credit.
Great, thank you. I will do that.
Okay.
Thank you, Benedict. Are there more questions to Carlos? Please raise your hand if you have any. Okay, maybe later. So next question or comment is for the presentation from Allegra Tucavi, Alberto Schwendt. Maybe you can switch on your microphone. I think it was just a comment, right?
Yeah, yes, hello. No, it's in the presentation, trying to remember, it was mentioned 7 countries, the only one in eligible countries, the only one in Latin America was Brazil. So when would Chile be eligible if there is an estimative timing?
Yes, thank you, Alberto. So complementing on that, it's correct. In this call, Chile is not eligible. This is because the funds provided are from the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. So those funds are focusing on developing countries where Chile graduated from in 2018. So in this case, we have as an complementary financing solution, the Global Gateway Renewable Hydrogen Funding Platform, as a presenter of the 50 million investment grant from the European Union, which is similar to the PTX Development Fund. And let me add one further comment for the possible future rounds of the PTX Development Fund. There can be added further developing countries as well. So for future rounds, it's good to see which other countries might be added to the list. But I have to explain that it's Chile can't be part of it, as I mentioned, from the ODA perspective of the development countries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alberto. Any more questions to Allegra? Raise your hand. So we will go on to Juan. There is no question in the chat for Juan Urinho from the European Investment Bank. Maybe there are any other questions? Not for now, maybe later. So next question is for Elizabeth Sterner from Santiago Enriquez again. Santiago, you want to ask it yourself? Santiago, still there?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I wanted to know if you have any kind of joint activities in the regions between both institutions in Hydrogen Bank and H2 Global Foundation. And the idea, I think, is to create like a joint tender for the future.
Yes, so well, H2 Global is one instrument within the European Hydrogen Bank. And as we understand the European Hydrogen for now, it's a set of different instruments and activities within the European Commission. We have, for example, the domestic auctions conducted by DG Klima with the funds from the Innovation Fund, and then which is basically considered as the internal arm of the European Hydrogen Bank. And with this, I can also answer already another question. Then the external leg is it's DG ENER that is responsible for the activities there, and we are working together with DG ENER on that. So we can be considered, or our instrument per se can be considered as one part or one instrument within the European Hydrogen Bank in the external within the international activities. And last year, for example, Commissioner Kadri Simpson invited together with the support of our German Minister Habeck all the other member states to have a look at H2 Global, to maybe join forces to pool their funds for joint auctions. So this is basically at member states level. We are talking to several member states that are interested in our instrument, that might have funding available for our instrument if it's not sufficient for doing a own auction. There is the idea of joining forces, like we have the example of the Dutch and the German bilateral initiative. And of course, the instrument per se, we could also manage EU funds, so coming from the EU directly, but this is not in discussion currently, but it could change, of course, in the future.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you, Santiago. And last question in the chat, no, almost, there's more now. From Karan Arora. Karan, do you want to ask it yourself?
Yes, so I think it was answered right now. I was talking about the external arm, the international arm of the EU Hydrogen Bank, and it just got addressed by her. Thank you for the update.
Okay. Perfect. So the others are only comments. Yes, any more questions in general? Please raise your hand or just switch on your mic. If you have any more questions, or any of the speakers. So looks you had really good presentations and every question is answered. Perfect. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining this webinar today. Because this question was in the chat quite often, we will send you the presentations and the contact details of the speakers. So if there are any more questions are raised afterwards, just write the speakers directly. And of course, thank you very much to the speakers for the very interesting presentations and insights to the funding and financing instruments for projects in Chile or in other countries as well. And see you next time. We will probably have another webinar, this kind of financing instrument in the future again. So thank you, everybody. Have a very nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you to everybody.